Hello everyone. Today we will explore the Rio de Janeiro Airbnb open dataset. This dataset has been downloaded from Kaggle but is actually sourced from inside Airbnb.com. This dataset contains listings from all the sites in the state of Rio from August 2018 to May 2020 when it was last scraped, as you can see right here. The questions that we will be answering in this video are as follows. Does price vary according to location? Are there some neighborhoods in Rio that are higher priced than the others? Does the price of a property change with change in total listings by a host? Is there a relation between price and host listings count? Which type of property is most popular? Are listings with higher number of amenities priced higher? Amenities here refers to fully furnished houses, TVs, a bathtub, amenities like that. Also, in this analysis, we perform hypothesis testing, linear as well as lasso regression, clustering using k-means algorithm. We will also analyze results of various regression models after training them on the dataset, perform feature importance, and visualize the results. So let's get started. For this project, we make use of Python as a programming language and Google Colab as a development environment. In this specific Colab notebook, we will be doing the exploratory analysis. We begin by importing the necessary libraries for the analysis. Pandas and NumPy are standard data analysis and manipulation tools. Seaborn and Matplotlib are used for visualizing results of the EDA. SciPy and stats models are used for hypothesis testing. We unzip the folder containing the dataset and read the CSV file into our environment. Our dataset contains over 3 lakh rows and 106 columns. Here, we print the first 5 rows of the dataset to give you an idea of what it looks like. Since our data is web scraped, many of the columns in this dataset are not required for the analysis. So, as a next step, we select the columns that we deem are important for this analysis. It will make the analysis faster and it will prevent memory leak. The next thing we do is we drop the rows with the duplicate IDs, since it doesn't make sense to perform analysis if there are 2 records of the same listing in the dataset. The next step is to describe the dataset. A dataset description means that we display the count, mean, standard deviation, and other such metrics about the dataset. We then find out the number of null values in each attribute. We see here that the attributes host response time and host response rate have the highest number of null values, but the review scores rating attribute has even higher null values. In the dataset, price and host response rate are of the data type object, but these attributes need to be in float to perform analysis. Thus, we convert them to float using str.replace, which replaces any $sign into an empty string and converts the value to a float type. Now that we know the null values, which attributes have the null values, and have converted the price and host response rate into a format acceptable for manipulation, we can proceed to clean the dataset. The way we do that is, we fill in the values for numerical attributes using statistics. However, for attributes like city and host location, such values cannot be guessed or filled. So, we drop the rows in which the value for these attributes is null. And this is the output we get after executing this code. The logical next step would be to visualize the histograms of all the attributes. From this, we can infer whether a data column is normally distributed or not. As you can see, we have displayed the histograms for each and every attribute of a dataset. We also visualize a correlation heat map. A correlation heat map is a 2D matrix which shows the correlation coefficients of any two discrete dimensions. The color in each small square is proportional to the correlation coefficient of the two dimensions, which makes the correlation heat map easy to understand and helps us decide the kind of analysis to perform. From the heat map, we see that host listings have a correlation with price, which indicates that people with lesser listings charge more than people with higher listings. In this section, we deal with outliers. To better deal with outliers than simply remove it by intuition, we'll use a descriptive statistic method called interquartile range. First, we define a function to get the max fence value, which is defined as the highest value a variable can have so that it is not considered an outlier. We also have made a function to display a box plot for visualization. A box plot depicts groups of numerical data through their quartiles. The lines extending indicate upper and lower quartiles, and outliers are plotted as individual points. Here we see that the maximum value of host listings is 11, and any value above 11 will be considered an outlier and deleted. Thus, 764 rows are deleted from the dataset. Furthermore, no listing can have a value of 0 because then the listing will not exist. Thus, any listing which contains a value of 0 is changed to 1. We then do the same for price. The graph shows that a distribution of price after removing outliers is actually a bit normal. If we see that some listings contain a value 0, which is a mistake, and since there are only few such listings, they are dropped from the dataset. Since price is not as well distributed as you would like, a binning technique is applied to better analyze the data. This will be done for the next section. In this section, we analyze how price varies according to the location. We see that there are 127 neighborhoods, and in order to analyze price for different neighborhoods, the column price bins was used instead of the price column. Since it is well distributed between each class, the mean is less sensitive to outliers. We now import the library plotly or Plotly. Plotly is a Python library that allows the creation of interactive graphs. This module is imported into the programming environment using the line import plotly express as px. The scatter map box is used to create scatter plots on the map box maps. As you can see, we now have an interactive map regarding the prices of each listing and the location on the map. The next thing we do is a hypothesis test. Now, a hypothesis test is used to check whether the hypothesis between the relations of two attributes of a dataset is plausible or not. For just the sake of explanation, we have taken two attributes here, namely review scores rating and number of reviews, and we plot a scatter plot between these two attributes. We see that the scatter plot between these attributes represents a left skewed t distribution, which means that these two do have some sort of relationship and we can perform a hypothesis test between them. For other variables and other attributes, we refer to the aforementioned heat map, correlation heat map. So these are just some of the hypothesis tests that we have performed. For example, review scores rating and number of reviews have a p-score of 0. Now, usually, a p-score of 0 would mean that a dataset has a problem. However, in this case, this value is so small that the programming environment just displays 0. In another hypothesis test, we have the relationship between price and host listings count. So we see that the p-value is below the threshold, which is 5%. So we can say that we reject the null hypothesis, which means that there is a relationship between price and host total listings count. This was of course apparent from the heat map itself. In such a way, we do the hypothesis tests for 3 more relationships. In the next step, we perform k-means clustering of JBS locations. We import k-means module from sklearn.cluster to perform clustering by geographic location. Here we see a graph which is the elbow curve. It graphically shows the optimal number of clusters for the data. Here the optimal number of clusters are 4. Intuition is that increasing the number of clusters will give a better accuracy, but that leads to overfitting. This is clearly depicted in the elbow curve. Now, here we see the clustering graph. We see that the dataset can be divided into 4 distinct clusters around 4 centroids based on the clustering algorithm. In the distribution of property types section, we find out how the property is distributed over the listings in Rio. There are several types of properties such as houses, apartments, lofts, etc. Then we perform some cleaning up of the cities. In this section, we cluster listings according to the state. Our aim in this section was to answer the question, where or which part of Brazil has the highest number of listings? Then you will actually see a pie chart below. The pie chart shows that most of the Airbnb listings come from Rio de Janeiro. 83.1% of the listings are from Rio. We then wanted to know which type of Airbnb listing is most popular in the state with the highest listings. This graph shows that the most popular Airbnb room type in Rio de Janeiro are of the type home or apartment. And the next most popular are private rooms, whereas hotel rooms are least popular. We then perform the same analysis for the neighboring cities apart from Rio de Janeiro, and this is the result that we get. So that was the end of this notebook, and now we will dive into the machine learning part of this analysis. Now we come on to the second notebook. The beginning of the second notebook, where we analyze using machine learning models, is fairly simple to the last one. We import the libraries, we unzip the dataset, we extract attributes needed for analysis. We check the total number of null values in each attribute. Now, in this, since security deposit, cleaning fee, reviews per month, ID, host response rate have large number of null values, and filling these values would be incorrect, we drop them from our analysis. We also convert the attributes, like the last time, into a proper form to fit the model. Now let's talk about amenities to n amenities. So what does this section do? Well, the analysis can be pretty complicated if we choose to individually consider each amenity. Thus, we decided to drop the column amenities and create another column n amenities, which indicated the number of amenities offered in the listing. By looking at the data, it is hard to point what kind of value would amenities bring to the listing. Our hypothesis is that effort put up by the host to list out every amenity indicates that the property is well cared of. Thus, we believe that listings with higher number of amenities will be priced higher. This graph shows that n amenities has an almost bell-shaped curve, which is normal distribution, with peak at 15 amenities. Now we have reached arguably the most important part of the analysis, which is training machine learning models on this dataset. So we import various models such as linear regression, SGD regressor, lasso, ElasticNet, etc. from sklearn. So if you would have noticed, 3 columns or 3 attributes of the dataset have values in the form of false or true. to train the model on these values, we need to first convert them to binary form. Thus, false becomes 0 and true becomes 1. This is called encoding. Next, we create a custom function to train all these models on the dataset, and we are keeping an eye on 3 metrics, which is root mean squared error or RMSE, mean absolute error or MAE, and R-square score as shown here. So let's talk about these metrics for a moment. Absolute error is the amount of error in a measurements. It is the difference between the measured value and the true value. The mean absolute error is the average of all absolute errors. Root mean square error or RMSE is a standard way to measure the error of a model in predicting quantitative data. It tells us how far apart our predicted values are from our observed values on average. The lower the RMSE, the better the model. RMSE is always positive, and a value of 0 for RMSE indicates a perfect fit to the data. So let's talk about R-square. R-square is the percent of variance explained by the model. That is, R-squared is the fraction by which the variance of errors is less than the variance of the dependent variable. Thus, in the next code snippet, we train the model on the dataset. We train all these models on the dataset, and we see which one performs the best. Thus, you see the following output. Here, we see that the R-square score is the best for extra tree regressor among all these models. Thus, we choose extra tree regressor as the model to hypertune. Next, we will perform feature importance. Feature importance refers to techniques that assign a score to input features based on how useful they are at predicting target variables. We did this because, number 1, it provides insight into the dataset, and number 2, results can be used to improve predictive models, as we've done here. So, from this graph, we see that the least important features are hosted superhost, require guest phone verification, and require guest profile picture. Thus, we try to remove these columns and see how the model performs. First, we remove them one by one, as if taking out a single ball from a bag of 3 balls. After taking them out, we display the R-square score and we put the columns back into the dataset. So, these are the R-square scores that we get. We see that there is a slight improvement in the R-square score for the models. So, we drop these columns one by one until they are no longer there. And we see that we get a final R-square score of 87.64%. Thus, the features that are left on which the model is training is host listings count, latitude, longitude, accommodates, bathrooms, bedrooms, beds, the custom-made attribute and amenities, and property type. We again plot a feature importance graph to make sure that what we've done is correct. And here we see that the model is training on all attributes. You will notice here that in the feature importance graph, location is the most important feature. That is, latitude and longitude is the attribute on which the model is training the most. And if you think about it, it makes sense. The location will always be the most important factor in deciding the price for a property. And amenities is also an important variable, as it implies listings with more amenities are naturally more expensive. That brings us to the end of this video. I hope you've enjoyed our content.